Welcome to the Center for Leadership and Involvement's overview of creating funding requests in the Blueprint Finance module. Submitting a request for funding to SGFC, the Student Government Finance Committee, or CSF, the Community Service Fund, is integrated within the Blueprint Finance module. Let's take a look at how to go through that application process. So, logging into Blueprint, you'll be able to use the My Shortcuts menu to select the organization for which you'd like to make a funding request. And then, if you have access, you'll find the Finance module button here on the left. Just as a reminder, the Finance module is available by default to your primary contact, president, and treasurer, as defined in your Blueprint roster. However, you can provide finance access to additional positions in your roster as well. Simply go to the Manage Positions section of your roster. You can create a new position or edit any existing positions. And for every position that you create, you'll be able to set access so that they can have access to specific sections of your Blueprint page. For example, under limited access, I could create a position that has access to my documents and picture galleries, but I can also select view access to finance so that the position can review financial records, or full access to allow them to submit purchase requests and funding requests. So, for your members who have access to finance, they'll be able to open the Finance module and find, next to the button to create a purchase request to spend funds from your account, the button for creating a funding request where you can submit your request to SGFC or CSF. Opening the request, you'll find a quick header that you'll need to complete with your event name, a dollar amount, a quick description. You'll want to select the account. You should have just a single option, so that should not pose a problem. And then under categories, you'll want to make sure to select allocation. Next, you'll need to provide a little bit of information about the details of your event. So we'll start with the event date. If you have a capital improvement request or an ongoing project, you can simply use the date you'd like to make the purchase or begin the project. You'll also want to select the advisor for your organization, and then the committee to which you want to apply. Both SGFC and CSF accept applications through the funding request module. I'm going to request from SGFC, and then I'm going to tell them that I'm requesting funding for an event. I can also request funding for a program or initiative, money from the travel fund, an operational expense, capital improvements, or if I feel I have something that's not quite any of those, I can select Other. Next is the Upload section where you'll add your budget document. We have updated the SGFC and CSF request documents. You can find them linked right here on this form, or also on the SGFC page from the Center for Leadership and Involvement, or the CSF page from the University Community Service Center. These documents include some additional details about location, time, expected attendance that you may be familiar with, as well as questions about describing your event in more detail, letting the committee know how the event fits the purpose or goals of your organization, describing your intended audience, all kinds of information to share with the committee, as well as your detailed line item budget. So once you've completed that document, you simply upload it here. We also have provided 2 additional upload fields where you can provide additional information. So let's say you have a large Excel document that provides further detail about your budget. You could upload that here to the committee. You could also add your quotes for bus charters or things like that, as well as speaker bios for honoraria. So feel free to use those as you would like. Finally, we've got a series of checkboxes that you may be familiar with from the previous version of the SGFC form. The first section that asks you to check any that apply, these are criteria that mean you should be speaking with your advisor in advance of submitting your budget. So this includes an event whose cost exceeds $1,500, an attendance expected more than 150 people, more than $15 per person towards the cost of the event, as well as if you intend to serve alcohol. When any of these criteria are active in your budget, you will want to make sure to work with your advisor in advance. Submitting that budget through Blueprint at Friday at noon may not provide enough time for your advisor to work with you and get it approved for the following Tuesday. So make sure to work in advance if any of those are selected. Finally, you'll need to affirm some of the conditions of application for SGFC and CSF, letting the committee know that you've read the SGFC guidelines, cost guide, and the CSF requirements, that your budget meets the timeline for approval, that your budget is fully itemized and all income sources are included, that your budget is for an event for which the location has been tentatively secured, and that you'll post your events that are funded on the Blueprint flyer board as well as the student events calendar. Finally, you just need to note that no items requested in the budget have already been purchased, as the committees cannot fund retroactively for any purchases that have already been made. So once you've completed this short document and uploaded your budget document, you'll submit your request. Then you'll be able to see in your list of funding requests, which you'll find is next to your list of purchase requests in the Finance module, a list of all of the budgets you've submitted. You'll be able to see when and if they've been finally approved by student government for the amount. You'll also be able to use the status field to see whether your budget is under review by your advisor or if it's been passed along to the committee. It helps you get a great idea of what's happening with your request, and then it creates an archive so that as you move forward, you'll be able to go back and look at old requests. Next year, they'll be able to see what you submitted this year if they'd like to replicate it. All of that will be tied in together within Blueprint. If you have any questions about applying for Blueprint, don't hesitate to contact your organization's advisor, or the financial operations team can also be helpful with utilizing Blueprint.